There is nothing more frustrating than a narcissist or anybody for that matter who can just never agree with anything that you share or anything that you believe. When it comes to these people, it seems that they just want to argue with everything. They need to one up you all the time. Even every thought that you have is completely wrong with them. You just can never have a smooth flowing conversation with these people. Not happening. Whatever you say, they're going to say the opposite. Whatever you like, they're going to like the opposite. Whatever you believe, they will believe the opposite. And then if the next day you change your mind, they'll again believe the opposite. And then if you happen to see a singer, for example, on some television talent show and point out to them what a great singer they are, they're going to disagree with that also. They're going to tell you that that isn't their real voice and it's the equipment that they're using that makes them sound the way that they sound, because no one can be better than them, right? Or if you're in the midst of buying new furniture and you want red chairs, they're going to want black chairs. But if you're the one who disagrees with a choice that they prefer, it's going to be taken personally. They're going to see that as a slight. Then let's say that you have new neighbors and you let them know that they appear to be nice. They're going to tell you that there's something shady about them. But if you tell them that you think the neighbors appear shady, they'll say something like, "What are you talking about?" Almost laughing in your face as though you're some kind of conspiracy theorist. They want you to feel small. They want you to feel small so that they can feel tall. It's their way of shutting you down so that they stand taller. I observed the narcissist that was in my life at the time at one point, and I wanted to see how often that he'd be defiant and oppositional with me. And it wasn't merely once in a while or often, it was every single time. And he himself was what people would consider to be a conspiracy theorist and was always reading up on what was going on in the world. And I too had high interest in information like that. And often he'd come to me and he'd tell me of the latest news. For example, the banking system, and I would listen with interest. However, when it was I who let him know of any of the latest world subjects, like perhaps a massive earthquake somewhere, he'd just look at me and say, "So?" Again, to make me feel small. And then perhaps tell me that I was just buying into the fear mongering. It isn't just what you like, think, or believe here either that has them in oppositional behavior. They are oppositional in everything. They want to be seen as the biggest, the best, the most intelligent. They want you to bow down to their every whim. They want you to laugh at all their jokes. They want you to notice everything that they do and respond accordingly. And the response must be uplifting and positive, because if they do something and you don't take notice, it's going to irritate them and you'll become their number one enemy. They're going to resent you for it. Narcissists, they refuse to be ignored, even when you have no idea that you were ignoring them in the first place. And an example of that could be that they point out to you that there's a raccoon in the yard, and you might look real quickly for a second and nod that you've heard them and you've seen it, and then you go about your business. But if you don't stop everything that you're doing and look out that window for more than a second, that seemingly innocent gesture of yours might just be the beginning of World War III here. They have to be acknowledged over every single interaction, or there's going to be hell to pay. One time, that narcissist I was just talking about, he barges into my meditation room, and I don't know about you, but to me, when someone sees you in a lotus position with your eyes closed, it's a pretty good indication that you're meditating. And furthermore, unless it was a pressing issue, the other would walk away quietly, right? Well, that wasn't my experience that day. He walked in blurting out something in history that he had just learned about. I, thinking that he was being pretty rude, chose to ignore him and continue with my eyes closed. And I tried to get back to my meditative state, but not. The next thing you know, I am being asked what's wrong and why am I being such a belligerent, followed by door slamming, objects flying, and things being taken away from me, because he loved taking things away from me to punish me. And as usual, this went on for days. That was my punishment for not responding. Now we're discussing how oppositional they are in this video. So it's you this time that is coming to them with something that you've just learned and you want to share this with them. So you start to talk about it and they'll flat out say something like, I'm not interested. Mind you, perhaps your narcissist won't be as bold, but they'll be fidgety, having a hard time holding their attention. You see it, you're not stupid. But can you see here how oppositional they are in what they expect from you, but won't give back in return? Another way of how they can give you the opposite of what you want or expect could be by showing them a piece of artwork that you've done, something that you've created, something that you've worked hard on and you're proud of. You'll show it to them and all you'll get is a blank stare or a quick nod. They want consistent acknowledgement, yet they refuse to give you one iota of that. They want constant praise and approval, but when it comes to you, they'll dish out criticism. Another way in which they're oppositional is in boundaries and rules. Narcissists will have all kinds of rules for you. For example, you are not allowed to complain about anything concerning them. Do not place the wrong color on their oh so perfect view of themselves. You have to be obedient to them at all times. You must agree with everything they say. You must never raise your voice, even if they're calling you horrible names while yelling at you. They tell you not to do the very things that they do. Now, if that isn't oppositional, I don't know what is. They'll even have you convinced that eating meat is a bad idea, but 2 months later you catch them wolfing down a burger. They'll also tell you that you need to let them know what's bothering you because they aren't mind readers and you're being passive aggressive if you don't. Yeah, most of the time if you look upset, it's because of something they did and you can't even talk to them about it because you know how they are, right? Yet, whatever triggers them will be unknown to you as they behave passive aggressive with you. The trigger that they'll have can be something so meaningless like not responding to a text immediately after they sent it and 3 days later they're finding some way to get revenge on you. And they have these really strict boundaries and they enforce them. For example, you can't touch or use any of their belongings, yet your personal belongings are a free-for-all for them. They can take your vehicle whenever they please and trash it at that, and I have seen that. But don't you dare get into theirs without permission. Any of this sounding familiar here? Leave a comment down below or just type yes. If they decide to take a nap in the middle of the day, you mustn't drop a pin on the floor. By 11 p.m., when you're in bed, the guitars and amps come out. They can visit their friends or take classes whenever they want, but you must stay home. If you decide to do some work on your house, you must be completely and perfectly organized, yet it's okay for them to paint ceilings without covering the furniture or the floors. When it comes to a narcissist, rules are for you and boundaries are for you. When it comes to them, no rules, no boundaries. They will micromanage every detail of your life and yet expect complete freedom when it comes to their life. They want to know where you were or where you're going. However, if you ask the same question, you're going to be told that it isn't any of your business. If you spend money on a shirt or something, they'll have some kind of comment intended to make you feel small or to feel bad. It might not be blatant, but it could be something covert like, you sure like spending money these days. Or, don't you think there are better things that we could spend money on? Just saying. Meanwhile, you're getting packages delivered at your door from eBay for them on a weekly, if not a daily basis. But there's always an important reason for the purchases, right? They'll control you like a puppet. They'll comment on your tone of voice. If you're a bit chilly and you wrap your arms around yourself, you'll be accused of being upset, where there'll be no convincing them that you were just merely chilly. And heaven forbid that you place a hand on your hip. When I say micromanage, I am not kidding. It's going to be comments on how you wear your hair or what clothes you choose to wear. You're always left feeling unsure of yourself and disapproved of. You'll cut or grow your hair out just to appease them, or if you were being honest, just to avoid the put downs. They, in turn, will do whatever they please with their hair or wardrobe. Whatever they want, they expect the opposite for you. And that's the bottom line. Narcissists want to know every minute detail about you and your life, and you think it's because they care? No, do not be fooled here. They are gathering information for their own personal gain. It's going to come in handy when they need to throw something in your face later on during an argument and threaten you with divulging your information to others or set up their flying monkeys with your information. Oh, and this one here, ask yourself how much you know about their past. And I'm assuming not much. I had a client once who was telling me that she'd been with her partner for 14 years and never knew of even one single partner that he had in his past. Matter of fact, she had never even met his family. She figured that he must have been so traumatized somehow about his past that she thought it was best that she didn't ask, that she didn't question anything. She even felt compassion for him. It must have been tragic, whatever happened, right? But with everything that she experienced with him, that she discussed with me, he certainly appeared to fit the bill for narcissistic personality disorder. These people, they don't not divulge information due to being closed off, but because they need to control the narrative on everything. They see how easily others could use information against them because that's what they do. But the bottom line here is they have full control over you. You have no control over your life while they have full control over theirs. Do as I say, not as I do. Oppositional. Narcissists are going to expect you to wipe their tears and cater to them when they're upset. And they'll want you to listen to them as they go on talking about how their boss treated them. But if something horrible happens to you, they couldn't be bothered with their precious time. Besides, this is going to turn into, what did you do to cause this? It's constant criticism. They never want to be on your side for anything, around anyone. They will criticize you about anything and everything, but how dare you give an opinion, even if it's constructive criticism. And when they expect sincere apologies from you, which they won't accept anyway, but they'll expect you to be fine with a cold, fine, I'm sorry statement. They need you for everything from emotional support to admiration, yet deprive you of moral support or acknowledgement. Just more opposites with them. How's that working for you? I mean, I look back today and I am astounded by how much I put up with and how much I ignored. I'm astounded of how blind I actually was when I thought I wasn't. And you'll see, once you've left this narcissist, you're going to look back and realize that it was way more than you thought. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I highly recommend that you keep a journal with you at all times. Write down every incident that you unfortunately experienced with these characters because it'll help you see the truth. And I also recommend that you keep your journal hidden in a safe place because they snoop. And remember, when it comes to the narcissist, you are not allowed to feel feelings, have opinions, or any negative thoughts about them. So on that note, I am sending you love and light in hopes that this conversation brings you a little closer to the exit door and closer to a door that leads to the love that you deserve. Remember, you are way smarter than they have you believe and way smarter than even you believe. Take care and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.